This is Optimal Relationships Daily, episode 911. Do you play the comparison game? Find out when it might be okay to. By Emma Scheib of SimpleSlowLovely.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new week of ORD. I am your host, Greg Audino, welcoming you back from the weekend. I hope you're ready to put in the work this week because we are going to be starting off with a great post today that definitely is built upon some introspection and a refreshing new way of looking at the idea of comparing oneself. Emma Scheib is not so sure that it's always a bad thing, and I agree with her. Let's hear her viewpoint, challenge our own thinking, and start optimizing your life. Do you play the comparison game? Find out when it might be okay to. By Emma Scheib of SimpleSlowLovely.com. She wore a bohemian dress and had long flowing hair. I think her feet were bare, but I know her children's definitely were. Her voice was soft and easy. Despite 3 children and a dog in tow, she looked as though she didn't have a care in the world. Although she was on her way to the supermarket, her demeanor told me otherwise. She could have easily been strolling on the beach. I watched her, admired her sense of ease and calm as she ushered the children along. I compared my frazzled, harried state to hers, and I wanted to be her. I wanted the not a care in the world attitude that she seemed to exude. I wanted the quiet, steady tone of voice she used with her children. What seems like a weighty chore to me, walking to the supermarket with 3 tiny humans and a dog, seemed to be a pleasure for her. So I wondered, could I be like her? Firstly, let me tell you about my supermarket trips. Mostly these days, now that the youngest is a stone's throw from 4, I orchestrate it so that the older ones are in the car and can supervise, and I can go by myself. But, of course, there are those times when both 4 and 8-year-olds insist on coming in. And those times usually coincide beautifully with them being scrappy, overtired, hungry, and demanding. Because that's life. Soft, easy, and calm are not what I exude whilst at these times. I'm often tense, short-tempered, inconsistent. No, you can't have a treat. 2 aisles later, I cave. And completely and utterly unpresent with the moment. And let me tell you a secret. This demeanor is not reserved solely for the supermarket. I am like this often with my children, at home, at cafes, at other people's houses. So I see her, this woman, a stranger to me, and of course I wish I was her. She seems to have it all together. Obviously, her kids are angels and they live on clouds in the sky and play harps. The image of her has stayed with me all week, and here are a few thoughts I've unpacked. Comparison is a game you will never win. Although I don't know her, I created her life in my head. A 5-second glance at her and her tribe gave my overthinking brain enough ammunition to imagine the rest of her life. What the heck for, you might ask? Comparison, baby. We compare ourselves to others all the time. Despite the fact that it's largely detrimental, we do it anyway. And we are told time and time again not to compare, even with our friends whose circumstances we might be more privy to. We will never fully know what's going on for someone else, what their struggles are, and what their life behind Instagram looks like. So comparison is pointless, in this regard. But when is comparison okay? But let me play devil's advocate for a moment. What if it was okay to compare yourself to the person that you want to be? When I created a life for this woman I glanced at, I saw her living simply and mindfully, free and easy. Okay, it could have just been those hippie pants, but I really did this because this is the kind of life I'm drawn to. And she, for that moment, was the kind of person and mom that I wanted to be. Poised, peaceful, and joyful. So, I'm going to go ahead and compare anyway. But here's the thing. I'm not comparing to a friend or even an acquaintance. I'm comparing myself to a persona on social media. I'm comparing myself to my future self. And I'm doing this so that I can move forward and aspire for better. And here are the things I need to do as I journey towards my future self. Number 1, be kind to myself. I'm not there yet. I still swear under my breath at my kids far too often than I'd like. I still have days where I hop into bed and wonder what the heck just happened. I'm still too busy. I'm still too mindless. But if I don't give myself some tender loving care along the way, then I probably won't make it. Kindness to myself means running, yoga, binging a good Netflix show, gardening, and writing. Number 2, intentionally go slower in everything I do. Slowly wake up. Slow down while I'm driving. Slowly make dinner. No one is going to die if things are running a bit behind time. Slow down. Number 3, create space. Stop the busy, unschedule, say no, and say yes. Give my to-do list or daily schedule loads of buffer. Never bang appointments right up against each other. Number 4, let go of perfection every single day. So the toys aren't picked up? So the washing isn't folded? So I didn't write my 1,000 words? So what? Number 5, ask for help. When I'm feeling as far from my future vision of myself as possible, and I'm about to lose it at my offspring, ask for help. I've done this several times this year. Always a hard thing to do, but I have never regretted it. Number 6, and finally, pick up some mantras you can repeat to yourself and or write on your walls. You can find plenty of inspiration on the interweb, but I think deep inside, we all know some truths. Here are mine. I am good enough. I don't need to be perfect to be loved. I am raising my children well. I am uniquely made and a treasure to my Creator. You just listened to the post titled, "Do You Play the Comparison Game? Find Out When It Might Be Okay To," by Emma Scheib of SimpleSlowLovely.com. A really nice, vulnerable post from Emma today, which we thank her for. I absolutely love the title of this post and what it stands for. The idea of never comparing yourself, like many plateau pieces of advice, is very layered, and these layers should be respected. Emma has highlighted one of these layers today, and there's still more to it as far as I'm concerned. Comparing oneself to someone else isn't necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't have to be done destructively. Comparing yourself to someone else can be a beautiful thing if you're able to be inspired by that person, and thus driven to dig deeper and realize more of your own potential. Being inspired by others and driven to do great things because they do, that cannot happen if we don't initially compare ourselves to them on some level. So thanks to Emma for reminding us that there are many nuances to the idea of comparison, and you can most definitely compare yourself in a healthy way. And on that note, we are going to wrap up for today. It's time for me to get out of here. I really appreciate you all joining me today for a post that encouraged a different way of thinking. I never get tired of those. And good news, we will be back with more thought-provoking material tomorrow in the Tuesday show. I really hope you'll join us there. I'll talk to you all then in episode 912, where your optimal life awaits.